Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents, and welcome to the 2021 Summer Vacation Series. We're getting to know comics from around the world who performed on our Isolation Comedy online show in 2020. I'm your host, Valerie, and sometime co-host Ms. Purrington will join us if she damn well pleases. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy, including those passing through, those we get to know because they do our online shows, etc., etc. You can keep up with us on Twitter and Instagram at Comedy Wham, on our Comedy Wham Facebook page, or our YouTube channel. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, live shows, and an events page for live shows in Austin and Houston. If you're a comic in those cities and want your show featured on the calendar, go to the events page and click Submit a Show to complete the short survey. Now let's get back to our podcast. Launched in 2016, the Podcast Project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and we usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene, never mind, the world comedy scene, so amazing. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us. Today, we are talking to somebody who is based in Los Angeles. He got on everyone's radar for his TEDx talk, creating a more fulfilling lifestyle through humor. He's been touring across the country when not filming one thing or another. And speaking of, he was on season 7 of Last Comic Standing. He is on season 2 of Sex Life. He was on Worst Week Ever. And he's got a role in the upcoming film VHYes. And it was really fun after I got to know him to see him perform on I Can See Your Voice, one of the many, many projects with Ken Jeong. He takes his comedy so seriously, he even got an advanced degree from Harvard. He is one of our favorite comics on our 2020 Isolation Comedy show. And now, Comedy Wham presents our guest, Erik Escobar.
Hello!
Hi.
I am here. I can't believe you did that whole amazing intro without even a sip of water. Jeez Louise, you are killing it. Boy, oh boy. I was like, this is a beautiful intro. I love it.
Thank you. Despite having this podcast has been going for 5 years now, 5+ years, and to this day, I still read every single word. I don't commit anything to memory because I'm too old for that.
You know what, Valerie? That's about how I would explain my act. So I'm the same way. Come and see an Erik Escobar show. I will be reading off 5 notebooks because I hate making eye contact with all y'all. Just kidding. I love it.
Oh no, you're so warm and friendly, and I think that was one of the things that was so charming about getting to meet you last summer. Is not only were you just so great on the show, but in our so-called green room, you were just so friendly with everyone. Not the comics we booked are generally mean comics, but I don't know. There was a warm and fuzzy feeling that you emanate.
I really appreciate that. I feel one of those things where, kind of coming up in comedy, you're in a lot of green rooms. Some green rooms are rooms, some green rooms are alleys, some are, just the chair on the side and everyone just shares it. But you really get to know a lot of really amazing, talented, wonderful, artists and comics. And it's always so great when you're in that room and you're chatting and you're having a good time and you're talking about the best place to eat on the road or, working the club before. And I always felt so sad whenever you saw the guy or the girl in the corner just kind of not talking to anyone, thinking they're better than everyone. And I distinctly being whenever I hang out with other comics or I'm in a virtual show or a real show, we're here doing this because we love this, because it's fun. Let's keep it fun. Let's not be sour. Let's not be salty. I could have a regular job, but no, I work for hot dogs and chicken fingers. Why? Because I love it. So let's keep the fun.
Fantastic. Well, I could tell you're going to be a ball of energy to talk to. So let me throw at you my official icebreaker question. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, it is one word to describe your past.
Ooh, varied?
varied. Um,
Very.
I was doing some research on your background, and I noticed that Disney comes up a lot.
Yes.
So I am curious to know about the Disney connection, but really let me first start by finding out what role did comedy play in your life other than, and this is where I prove that I've done my homework, other than your dad telling that joke at every single chance he meets a new person.
That's so weird because as soon as you said that question, I was like, oh, well, I got this, great little story with my dad. I'm sure I'm going to say this. This is exactly what I'm going to say. And then you threw me for a loop, Val. You threw me for a loop.
I do my homework.
I think, it wasn't necessarily just my experience, but I think all of us, when we're kids, when we're teenagers, we're awkward. We don't really have an identity. We don't really, no matter how cool you are in middle school or junior high or high school, we all feel like the outcast. And I think that brings us together, and the thing that makes us not feel like the outcast and feel that community and feel that love and feel that that support from those around us is being on that same page and really kind of like being like, I'm a certain way, you're a certain way. Oh, cool. We like both get it. And I think that's where comedy thrives. A good joke is funny because you're gonna laugh harder at a good joke when you really get it. You know what I mean? When you really get that kind of like, I get what you're saying. Oh, I have that experience. You're joking about this teacher or this thing, and I totally get what you mean. And I think for me, comedy was a way to be more social and be less introverted. I was playing football in high school, and then typical California story, it started raining. So of course, football practice was canceled. Actually, and I ended up just like kind of wandering around because my dad was going to pick me up. And I stumbled upon the improv team, and it just looked so fun and so exciting. And I ended up quitting football the next day to join the improv team.
Oh my gosh.
Fun energy it gave me, and just the fun they were having. And I always remember just the sense of community and the sense of kind of like group mind that everyone felt when they were just telling jokes to one another, making stuff up on the spot. And it really kind of burned a special hole into my heart and into my brain, and I always wanted to have that type of energy always around me.
So was this an improv group in your high school or outside of the school?
It was in school. So
okay.
Our football field was kind of way in the back, and then to get there you had to walk through basically the breezeways of the buildings of where the school was, and they were actually having an improv workshop in the middle of two of the breezeways. So I kind of just like looked from the side, oh, what's going on here, joined up. And it's one of those things where I feel like no matter who you are in the world, it's really important that you recognize that you're of value and you're an amazing person. You can do great things. No matter how insecure you may be or self-conscious you may be, you're a great human. And I feel I learned that I was a fun human and I could do cool things through doing improv and doing theater and doing performance, because it showed I could create something, improvise something, and make people laugh or make people smile. And it's a feeling I think everyone should have, everyone in the whole world.
Yeah. I'm still stunned that you would just completely walk away from football for something that's creative. I mean, that's just, I'm stunned. That's how fortunate. That,
very, very lucky.
Yeah.
That rained and that California doesn't like children in the rain. Thank you, Governor Newsom. To be honest, I feel like it's one of those things where I was a big kid. I was a real big kid. And when you're a tall kid, everyone asks you, oh, do you play basketball? Because of course you play basketball because you're tall. And I got that as a big kid, because as a big kid, everyone's like, oh, you must play football. You must, do sports. You must do wrestling or something. Yeah. So I really, not because I loved it, but because I think everyone told me I should do it. And then at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know if I really like this, but I do love this yes and zip zap zop thing. Let's see what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm just putting it back in my words, your words, that it allowed you to be seen, because everybody, said, oh, big guy, big tall guy, sports. And this, I was in debate, but we always hung out with drama kids. And so we knew what the drama kids were like, and they were all they brought their own energy to everything that they did. And it was like, well, that's just this culture that we we've created. So that allowed you to.
You were very diplomatic and you said brought this energy. It wasn't they were weird, it wasn't they were strange, but they brought an energy. I really appreciate that, Valerie.
I am nothing if not diplomatic about what I say.
The bait's paid off, I can tell you that much.
So what year of high school were you in when you made this jump into the creative performance arts?
This had to have been probably, I think it was my freshman, it was right after at the end of my freshman year. So pretty early. Played a lot of flag football in junior high. And then, I just ended up doing regular football in high school. And it was fun. It was cool, but it was something that I wasn't excited about. It was something you just did. Yeah. And you are excited about just completely changes your world and you don't want to let go of it. Yeah. So I never let go. And now I'm doing podcasts out of my garage. It's great. Very great.
So what happens at the end of high school for you? I assume you stuck with the improv group for the rest of your high school years.
So I did a lot of improv in high school, and then I started going to college. I spent my first 2 years at Cal State LA, and it was great. And I was originally doing a double major in theater and social work.
Okay.
I didn't know how I wanted to do it, but I knew I wanted to combine the two. I wanted to do some type of creative-based, performance-based thing because I loved it, but somehow combine that with, serving people who are underserved or at risk. And I ended up interning with a really great nonprofit here in Los Angeles called the Unusual Suspects Theater Company. Started working with them in college, and they actually provided improv, writing, and theater workshops to kids in juvenile hall. And it was a life-changing experience. I still work with them, from time to time. And it was so great to have that. And it really allowed me to do improv in a different way. Do improv as in service, opposed to just for my own, I just like doing this. Everybody between that, doing improv with them, doing performance with them, and in college being on some improv teams, I always knew that this is something that was always going to be part of my life in one way or another. Mm-hmm. And then a little shout out to Tom Clark, an amazing comedian in the LA area. Tom Clark, who was my high school improv coach, actually did a stand-up seminar or a stand-up workshop right when I was graduating college. And the timing worked out. I had some extra money. I was like, let me do this. Stand-up seems super fun. And through his guidance and his mentorship, and just he's one of the funniest comics I know. He's so great. But through his class, I was able to build a good 5 minutes. And I took that 5 minutes to some open mics, when I was about 20 years old. And I really found that even though I loved improv and that was home, stand-up was where I wanted to go. And stand-up is where I wanted to be. And I kind of just made that transition in my early 20s and never looked back.
What was it about stand-up that was so attractive to you?
I think it is there. You know what? It's harder. A lot of improvisers compete for that, and I'd be like, well, actually, we have nothing. And it's like, yeah, but the audience also knows you have nothing, so you're on the same playing field. I feel improv was something that is so fun, and there's so much I still have to learn. There's so much I still want to discover. There's things I learn every day with improv. But it's something that I feel it's a team sport. You know what I mean? It's very much a team sport, and you're helping each other out. But stand-up is all you.
Yeah.
I feel like improv is almost kind of like between a 1 and a 10. If you have a bad improv night, it feels like a 1. If you have a great improv night, it feels like a 10. You're on cloud 9. Stand-up is negative 1,000 to 1,000. When you bomb as a comic by yourself, you're not sleeping that night. You're eating irregularly. And the crazy thing is, you have an improv show, something tanks. Oh, well, let's move on. I could get an applause break for every single joke and a standing ovation at the end of my set, and I will still walk away from that stage being like, that one setup didn't work as well as I thought. You know what I mean? You microanalyze it, and that kind of just the solo aspect of it, I think, is really attractive, and just the aim of it is really attractive. And I fell in love with it, and it's great. And on top of that, I think career-wise, there's a lot of great improvisers out there who are making a good living. But I feel like when I was looking at my future, it was like, well, how can I sustain a career? How can I build a career and, have a solid income? I think I can do it more with stand-up personally than I can with improv. So if I'm going to do something, let me do the thing where I can pay 1/3 of my rent.
Mm-hmm. You're also doing all of this in Los Angeles, which is one of the meccas of comedy in the country. Did you, when you started stand-up, did you have an awareness of what a big comedy scene Los Angeles was and is?
Yes. And I was very fortunate to realize that early on, because I feel in LA, and this is somewhat of a generalization, I wouldn't apply this to every comic or every booker, every room, but I feel since there are so many bookers, so many people who run mics, so many gatekeepers, so many club owners, so many producers of shows, that everyone, or a lot of people, I should say, build an amazing 5. They have a great 5. They might even have a great 7 or a great 10, but you rarely can get opportunities where you can do more than 7 to 10 minutes in LA. So everyone has this great 5, but no one can do a 10 or a 15. And when you build material, you're almost afraid to at these mics, and it's almost kind of scary and daunting because there's 3 bookers in the crowd, and I don't want to try out material that can bomb because every show there's someone who might give me an opportunity. So I started feeling this a lot when I started out in LA, and I love LA. It's a great scene, but I actually found myself going more to Orange County, which is about, depending where you are, 30 minutes to an hour away, Disneyland territory, Anaheim, Garden Grove, Buena Park. And there they actually had more opportunities to do more stage time. And since all the big bookers were in LA, not a lot of them came out to OC. So you had more of like a playful, let me try something, let me do something new. Every Saturday for about 2-3 years, I would do Tickle's Comedy Club. Tickle's Comedy Club was a room that started at 7 p.m., run by a man named Johnny Flowers, real name, great gentleman, funny guy. I love him. And it was in the garage of a sober living house.
Oh, wow.
It was no audience, or maybe the 1 or 2 people who lived in the house who came through. One of them had a baby and would always bring her baby to this show. It was a red curtain with a 1-inch platform as your stage, and the mic was plugged into a 10-watt guitar amp. And that's where you did comedy every Saturday. I would do Tickles, then I would leave that. And also you couldn't enter in through the front. You only could enter in through the back, which was a very thing, but 10-15 minutes is 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
That I would do something called the 202 room, where you could do 20-minute sets, 15-minute sets. The only thing was the 202 room ran comedy after a 12-step meeting where everyone in the room was in recovery. The host would open up with about 45, maybe even an hour, do 20 minutes in between each comic. And the best thing about it was everyone there pretty much lived in a sober living house with a curfew. So everyone left an hour into the show. And if you were 3rd or 4th, you're literally telling jokes to an empty room that is definitely designed as a 12-step meeting-y vibe, perfect for comedy. And it was wild because, I would drive every Saturday to do those 2 rooms, but it was because I could do 10-15 minutes, maybe even 20. Where in LA, I could do 3-4 mics a night, but they would be 3 to 5 minutes each.
Yeah. Do you know Daniel Eachus?
We just talked today. He called me last night, sent him a text this morning. Daniel is one of those gentlemen who I feel like I have a lot of friends in comedy, but Daniel and I will call each other from the road the most. Like if he's on a call, if I'm on a long drive, I'll give him a call. I love Daniel Eachus. Can't say enough about him. Yeah. Great dude.
That was the reason I brought him up is because I interviewed him recently. His episode is out, and I found he encapsulated what you created a very vivid image of what it's like LA versus Orange County and why you do the 2 different areas. And the way he encapsulated it is you go to OC for time, you go to LA to network.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're best of both worlds because I live in Gardena, California. He lives in Long Beach, California. Mm-hmm. We're probably about 10 minutes from one another, but we're in kind of a cool spot because either from Long Beach or Gardena, it's about 30 minutes to Orange County or 30 minutes to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So you live in downtown LA, it's going to take you an hour to get down to Orange County. But for me and Daniel, it's kind of cool because we're right in the middle. So we can kind of, you know, worlds.
Okay, so let's go back to that time when you were first starting stand up, and you're figuring out the environment of performing in LA, and then figuring out, oh, I can get more time in the others, the exurbs, suburbs, I don't know, the, you know, outside of LA.
They call it.
You have a lot of TV and acting credits. When does that bug hit you? I mean, you're introverted football player. You go head on into improv, and then you go head on into stand up. And, you know, you're in LA, a mecca of acting, television and movies. What pushed you into that realm?
I want to share a quick story that was told to me. How true is it? I don't know. It might be, it might be just a weird comic's tale. But there's an incredible comedian named Jimmy Brogan. He does a lot of great crowd work. I believe he still opens for Leno a lot. He worked in Tonight Show. Jimmy Brogan's wonderful. A lot of comics will do shows, and I might go outside, hang out, or go grab a drink. When Jimmy's on stage, I always watch him because it's always a different set. It's always all crowd work. But anyways, Jimmy, I want to say, I think this was maybe the 70s. He was starring and I believe writing a show called Out of the Blue. And Out of the Blue did a Mork and Mindy crossover. They did a Happy Days crossover. So this was a pretty big deal. You know what I mean? It's a pretty popular show if you're doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess someone once asked him, like, oh, how do you like having your own sitcom on TV? And his answer was, it's okay. I'm only doing it because with this credit, I can get on the 9 o'clock instead of the 11 o'clock at the Improv. And that's a better time slot because the audience is a little better. I love that because that's almost kind of how I view stand-up. You know what I mean? I love acting. I think being on set's incredible. Like I was at Universal Studios today because just even taking the tram ride is so like fun. Wow, they make movies here, they make TV shows here. There's a magic about it, but at the end of the day, I really just want to do acting to create a bigger buzz about myself, to get more Instagram followers so I can do a show and get more people out to the clubs, and then they'll bring me back in 18 months to 2 years to do the same thing, hopefully as a headliner instead of a feature. Like it's crazy because I could, like, I'll do a BuzzFeed thing, or like even I Can See Your Voice or the TED Talk, and those were all incredible, amazing experiences I'm so grateful for. Yeah. But in the back, the whole time was like, all right, I hope I get some social media followers out of this and some followers so I can hopefully, get more people out to a show or have a better credit so a club will bump me up to, do another headlining weekend, or like that's kind of that's always in the back of my mind whenever I do any acting thing. So it's more, can do more comedy.
That's so funny. Okay, so since you are paying attention to that and how your Instagram follower count changes, which thing have you gotten the biggest bump from? I don't know.
Pretty Lord. So the TED Talk was great. I definitely got a bump from that. But then when I did I Can See Your Voice, they actually put my real name on there and said I did a TED Talk on the episode. TED Talk helped, and then I Can See Your Voice helped, and then I think the I Can See Your Voice viewers checked me out on the TED Talk, so they didn't follow me from I Can See Your Voice, they followed me from the TED Talk. So they're like, oh, here's more of a connection with this guy. So TV wise, that definitely I think helps a lot. Anytime I do a BuzzFeed thing or a Jubilee thing, I might get a little bit of a bump, but it's weird because it really is kind of a long game because I never got like 5,000 followers in a night or anything. It's very incremental because whenever I go to, wherever I go on the road, when I'm at my merch table, I sell lighters, I sell Erik Escobar coffee. They have my handle on it. So if you buy one of those, you usually, follow me on Instagram. But I also give out stickers for free. Or if you just want to do a donation, like here's a buck or whatever, oh, take a free sticker, whatever it is, that has my Instagram as well. And I'm never getting a giant, 3,000 person overnight follow, but every show I might get 10 to 15 followers. Figure 4 shows, 5 shows, 6 shows. That weekend might turn into 80 to 100 followers. If I'm on the road, pretty much 3 weeks out of the month, every week out of the month. In, 3 months, I probably see above upwards of 400 people following me, mostly because, they just check me out at shows, 5 followers here, 10 followers here. Someone buys a lighter, leaves it at their friend's house. Their friend's like, who's this guy? Looks me up, follows me. Thank you, random stoner. It's all very just like.
Yeah. All right. I kicked off the intro saying that when I was doing my research, Disney came up a lot. What is the deal with you and Disney?
I love it. Have you been to the park, Disneyland, Disney World?
I've been to Disneyland.
Disneyland. What was your favorite ride? You remember?
I don't know that I took a ride when I went to Disneyland, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a work. I think it was a work thing, and it was kind of like here's a reward for all your hard work. So it was a bunch of coworkers, and I think I was too intimidated.
That's fair, but I hope you still felt the magic. I hope you still loved it. Had a great time walking down Main. So when I was growing up, my cousin worked at Disneyland, so she had free passes. You can go to pass a year, whatever. So every year for my birthday, my gift for my parents is they would hit up my cousin and we would all go to Disneyland. So it was kind of this very nostalgic thing in my childhood that I still feel like I felt when I was 5, 6 years old on my birthday going there. My first job I ever had was at Disneyland. When I was 16, I went to a job fair, ended up selling churros and popcorn for a whole summer. It was great. Ended up going back probably about 4 or 5 years ago, just for a couple months. I worked on a ride called Toy Story Mania in California, and I'm obsessed with Disney. I love it. Fun. Sure, all corporations can be a little evil, but I look past the evil because they create this immersive, beautiful, fun experience where I don't care if you're 5 or 100 years old. There's something beefy there. There's something where you can go with people, have a great time. And I think just through working there and being a part, I've just become this super Disney nerd. I have Disney tattoos.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. I just love it. So I actually just got back from Orlando. I had some gigs or St. Cloud, close to Orlando. And I ended up going to Universal Orlando, which is an amazing park. I love Islands of Adventure, love Universal, but I didn't do Disney. And on the flight home, I kind of feel like I cheated on Disney a little bit.
Oh, no.
Spent the weekend with Orlando. I should tell the partner. I don't know what I did there. But you know what? It was definitely, I think a ticket to Orlando is probably 1/8 of a bucket of popcorn at Disneyland. So, you know what? On my budget, I will do Orlando. But I miss you, Disney.
Well, you can bring a bouquet of flowers to Disneyland to make up for it.
All time. Sorry, Walt. I still love you. You're still my number one.
I have been to Universal in Orlando, and yeah, those parks, it is amazing what these big companies pull off to appeal to both kids and adults. I was prepared to hate it. And I just absolutely love the experience. So, it's a lot of work that they've put into, and yes, there's an evil component, but there's certainly a lot of people working really hard to make it appeal to kids and adults.
I'm on the road so much that when I'm home, just let me lay in bed, watch TV, read a book. I don't want to go outside. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Friends, I'll do karaoke, I'll go outside for karaoke, but I'm kind of like just this homebody who doesn't like to do anything.
Yeah.
If Universal and Disney, especially in Florida, let's talk about Florida specifically. If you can make me wake up at 6 a.m. to get there at rope drop, to sweat for 12 hours, just sweat in the Florida humidity, and I will buy your $6 waters, I will buy your $22 churros, I will suffer for these parks and be smiling the whole time and just have a blast. And I won't even think about how I drenched my 4th shirt of the day. I will put up whatever you want me to do in that Florida weather because I really tried Expedition Everest. Let's go.
It's ridiculous. It really is. Okay, we've gotten way off track here. All right. So a part of me asking about the Disney thing is like, so I watched your TEDx talk, and it's for anybody that that is listening to this, definitely check it out. It's creating a more fulfilling lifestyle through humor. And I mean, I don't feel like it's a terrible spoiler, but you kind of start off as a hype man, you know, an opener, and it is so high energy. And when I saw, you know, the multiple Disney references, I'm like, this guy should be on you know, a Disney show or a Nickelodeon show. So there's just that fun, high energy.
Disney and Nickelodeon, if you're listening to this podcast, you got the Valerie, and that should be the only one that matters. So come on, send me that development.
If only I had that power.
Can I tell a quick story about the hype man thing, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say the TED Talk was March 14. I feel like March 14 was the day we shot it. Mm-hmm. And it was in Helena, Montana. It was great. Shout out to I was going to say shout out to Helena, but shout out to Carroll College and Steven Cedar for putting it on. It was amazing. But I was like, this is going to be brilliant. I'm going to come out as my own hype man. It's going to be super funny because I'll come out as my hype guy, hype him up, take out the stuff. I'll do the TED Talk, change a vibe. But I think it'll really break up the crowd. And I think it'll look good on camera. Mm-hmm. The day of the TED Talk, COVID numbers finally hit Montana and they refund the whole audience. We had like a 800-person crowd. Every single person had to get a refund because things were in flux. It was March. We were so like unsure what was going on. Yeah. And like, okay, you know what? That's fine. That's whatever. I'm still gonna have a great time. I prep myself to be this hype man thing. I go on stage and I realize I'm a hype man for no audience. I didn't even think about this hype man bit not working because there's no one to hype. It was literally two cameramen who were both 18 years old, probably freshmen, majoring in film, and then the guy in the back. And it was, I had to commit to the bit. As soon as I walked out, though, I was like, this is going to make no sense. And I kind of love it. But, oh, God, geez Louise.
Wow. No, you did such a great job. You mentioned there was something in your presentation that made me think, because I saw it was March 2020, didn't put the pieces together, but then you made a little reference to COVID, but it didn't dawn on me that because of COVID hitting, you were very likely speaking to no one.
Yeah.
So great job on committing to the bit.
No problem. I would just a little shout out. If you ever want to be a hype man or a hype woman or a hype person for a TV show, an audience is definitely necessary.
It helps.
Make sure an audience is there because if not, you can tell by the way I'm sweating. I'm kind of freaking out. I'm glad I wore sunglasses for the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, get that out of your system, all those nerves. Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to stand-up comedy. You have performed for colleges, so you can maybe share some of that perspective about being a comic that does the college work and what your experience is with that. It's always interesting to hear people's takes on doing college work.
I would definitely love to speak on it in terms of comics who might want to break into the college market. There's great things out there pre-COVID. I don't know what they're doing now, called NACA and APCA. There's another one, but they're great showcases where we can get judges. But I think to think about is it's a job. You're making money to pay your bills and pay your career. And there are going to be moments where it's going to be super fun. There are going to be moments where it is work. And I think when it comes to colleges and corporates, you can still have a great time and it's going to be super fun, but you want to make your boss happy. You don't want to be angry. So if you really want to work colleges, think about writing clean. Try to work clean. As much as you like that dirty joke or as much as you like, whatever it is, that offensive bit, go. club, go for it in a dive bar, but really try to work clean, because that's what a lot of colleges like. And I think another thing that I think is really, really important is a lot of people are afraid to talk about money, and they're afraid to ask for money. They're like, the most heartbreaking thing that has ever happened to me in my career is I think it was like a corporate gig, and it wasn't even a corporate gig. It was like a small club or something. And they were like, what's your rate? And I think I was like, oh, like for something like this, like 500, does 500 work? And they're like, oh my God, we would have given you like 1,000. Sure, 500 works. Let's do 200.
Oh.
It's money. And then you're like, I could have quoted double, triple, 4 times as much. And it's something to keep in mind when you approach colleges, because colleges do have money. Don't be scared of really kind of, putting out a big number. It's always great to be like, what's your budget? Because when you ask what your budget is, and then they give you a number, you could be like, well, could you do, like a little bit more, or do that plus a hotel, or that plus a couple meals? Or I always like to ask, they can throw in a sweatshirt. I like college sweatshirts a lot. So, or even if, it's low, you can say like, hey, I usually do it this way. Let's kind of Shark Tank it to a good middle. I really like doing colleges, but it does feel like more work, because you have to work clean. You have to be very conscious of what you're saying. And, there's a lot of like money negotiations that doesn't happen as much in like clubs or bars. You know what I mean? Usually there's a set rate at a bar, set rate at a club. Colleges, it can vary from, $700-800 on the very, very low end for a small school, to some people get $10K for an hour of work.
Oh, wow.
Hour of work.
Wow.
Last year, it was horrible. COVID sucked. It's definitely a thing that is, it's very exciting. It's very fun, but definitely, like I said earlier, just like, don't be scared of the money, and you want to make them happy. So, work clean. Don't make anyone mad, because they'll hit you with weird, where it's like, hey, you can't talk about, I don't know, Laffy Taffies, because someone had a Laffy Taffy allergic reaction last year, and it's a hot subject. And you're like,
oh my gosh,
Taffy that has to. This is so strange. Just make them happy. You know what I mean?
Is this the kind of thing, you said there's a lot of negotiation over the pay? Is this the kind of thing that they want to negotiate directly with you, or at that point you have a manager who's doing those negotiations for you? Because oh my God, I would not want to go through that.
I would love representation with a comedy management company. I'm currently represented with a manager, mostly for like film, TV stuff. And I just signed with another agency doing across the board. We're still working things out, but prior to that, I was just with a commercial agent, just doing commercials. But to be honest, I would say 98% of the work I've gotten in TV and film has been stuff that I either sought out or found or submitted to or auditioned for myself. Only a couple things have gotten, reps have only gotten me a few things. I do all of my comedy stuff by myself, and I would love that representation on the comedy side. But if it's anything like the film side, it's kind of like, well, I would still be working. I wouldn't stop emailing clubs. I wouldn't stop emailing colleges, stop emailing corporates. But if you could hook it up somewhere, that'd be great. If, I'm on the road, can be out a Sunday somewhere. I would love to have management, but I also love the relationships and connections that I make just by myself.
Yeah.
Because if an agent or a manager got me a gig at XYZ club, then I kind of show up, say hi, do my thing, say thank you, leave. Where if I'm emailing a club for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and after 10 years of communication, they finally give me that feature weekend, there's a little bit more like, you know what I mean? They see I worked for it, and we can joke around. Might have we can do. So as much as I want to be reps, I kind of like being on my own, but I also would like more work. It's a balance. It's weird. Yeah.
Last year during COVID, you did our online show. Did you do other shows, or how did you fill your time?
Comedy Wham was definitely my favorite.
Oh, you're so sweet.
A lot of people were hesitant toward Zoom shows, virtual shows in the beginning, because I think a lot of people thought COVID was going to be done in 3 weeks. Right. Remember when we thought COVID was gone June. Remember that rumor? Oh, the summer heat, after that summer heat hits, oh yeah, it burns away. That's how science works.
Yeah.
But I went very, very hard. It did not feel like being on stage in front of an audience, but it still was, in my opinion, was fun. There were bad shows, just like live shows. There were great shows at Comedy Wham that felt amazing, and I love. I feel like a lot of people did the Zoom shows in their region, which is super cool. I saw a lot of LA Zoom shows that went online. And then when that kind of dried up, because I don't want to ask them for another spot, when I just did their show 4 weeks ago, I started branching out to California. And then places on the road where I would work, they would be like, oh, we're doing virtual now. There were a couple of clubs I was booked at for weekends that were like, we'll pay you the same rate, we'll just do a virtual show. And I'm like, that's even better.
Wow.
Now I can like do it in my underwear.
Yeah.
So I basically started doing anything I could find virtually all throughout the US. That turned into finding some things in Canada. And that turned into finding some stuff in, I think actually, I was going to say Europe, because I did some shows in Berlin, did some shows in, South Africa was kind of like my biggest place, which is weird.
Wow.
Because I end up doing South African virtual shows. And now if I ever go to South Africa, I have like fans, which is weird. It's super, I don't know if we're going to go to South Africa, but I want to go because I have 12 people who would definitely come out.
That's so cool. Well, Canada just opened the border.
Oh, yucks. I'm coming for you. How's the comedy? How you doing? Other club, insert club, please book me. What I loved about it is we were so bored during COVID, and it was so tough for a lot of us to just kind of get through it and fill our time. And I was able to wake up at 8 a.m., do a show in Malaysia, at 10 a.m., do a show in South Africa around 2, 3 o'clock, maybe do something, that's on the East Coast. And then, by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, maybe do a 4th, 5th set from the West Coast.
Wow.
And it was kind of a weird, beautiful thing where like COVID was kind of fun because I was doing shows all day.
Yeah.
And there was like work that was happening. Like the scariest thing about, I think, comedy is how am I going to sustain this and how am I going to make this happen? And I think it is a scary thought, but what brings me a lot of calm and like chillness is the work is out there. You just got to find it. It's a scary, if you look for it, it'll happen. And sometimes you just got to do a couple, I don't know, British Zoom shows to put together the pieces.
Yeah. When did you decide that you were ready? Because it seems like you're touring pretty heavy right now.
Yes.
When did you decide to ramp fully back up into live shows and then now touring?
Even to this day, I know there are a lot of people who are on both sides. I'm vaccinated. I wear my masks kind of wherever I go, on planes, to clubs, unless I'm on stage. Still wear gloves. I pack a lot and then wash everything when I'm there. I'm trying to be cautious, and I feel a lot better about it in February when I got vaccinated. But I started hitting the road, I want to say September, November of last year. I think it's closer to September, when things were opening. So like Ohio was a little more open. Florida was a little more open. Vegas was sort of half and half, weirdly open. I was literally just every day, I was looking up the numbers in all the states and seeing if clubs and entertainment and music could be open, or if they weren't, then I would focus on the states and look up all the clubs and all the venues in the states that were open. And I would just aggressively email. Even pre-COVID, I was probably sending out close, I don't know, maybe 100 to say maybe 120 emails a month, between cold calls and kind of just follow-ups like, hey, what's up? Just wanted to see if anything was going on. And I would say I probably wasn't emailing that heavy, but I was still probably sending out 60-ish, 50-ish emails a month to any spot that I felt was open. And I was following up with all these clubs, trying to see whatever was open. And it was crazy because I thought that it would be more like I would work this club, then I would come home. But there was actually a little bit of freedom to be like, all right, like this bar is doing comedy on Thursday. This Moose Lodge is doing comedy on Wednesday. Oh, if I just hit up this bar who does karaoke and trivia and see if they want to do a random comedy night Sunday, I can actually put together a tour in some of these places. And I'm so grateful for every venue that, had me, and every audience member that came out. And it was a little weird because, a lot of these shows were at 20% capacity, half capacity, but it was a niche that needed to be scratched. And we tried to stay safe, socially distanced. And whether it was for, 100 people or 10 socially distanced people, it felt great. It felt really, really. And then I got COVID and I died, and it was horrible. But then I came back to life. So thank you.
You pulled a Jon Snow.
I pulled a Jon Snow.
Did you really get COVID, Erik?
I got it. I think I got it on New Year's Eve,
early
January. And the annoying thing is, it destroyed me. It destroyed me. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I self-quarantined in this, apartment that my cousin had that was empty. But right around the same time, my parents got it. I don't know if they gave it to me or if I gave it to them. Something happened, but they're both in their 60s, 70s, totally fine.
No way.
They had it. They tested it. They were great. And I was like, why? I'm young and healthy for the most part. How come this sucks?
It does suck.
Yeah.
But, good for them. Good for them.
I'm happy. I would rather that's the opposite a while, mostly because I couldn't feel anything, but it was weird.
Huh. Wow. Well, I'm glad you came back from it for sure.
I am too.
And you got the vaccination, and you're being safe. So that's good thing, because we're recording and this variant is going crazy, and Austin is at its highest stage level, and so there's things that are starting to shut down for we maintain an Austin comedy events calendar, and for the first time today somebody wrote me and said, well, the venue that I have this show booked for is shutting down for the month because of being in the stage 5. So it'll be interesting, because Austin was very aggressive about reopening, because we have our nice conservative governor who likes to just say, who cares, just open everything up, no masks, whatever. So Austin kind of went aggressive, and there are people that kind of swooped in and said, well, we're going to open venues. And I mean, it's been gangbusters here. So I wonder if it's going to pull back at all.
That's the fascinating thing about doing a decent amount of road work in the past, 6 to 9 months, because everywhere I go, everywhere's treating it differently. Yeah. I thought California was rough. DC is on lockdown. DC is very strict. It's still a lot of only to go outdoor dining stuff. I think there's even a curfew, maybe even in place.
Wow.
I love New York, and New York always had this beautiful electricity about it because there's so much hustle and excitement. You go there and it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
No one, it's very strange. But then you go to Arizona or Texas, or even parts of Oregon, and you're like, whoa, it's you guys didn't even feel you what nothing changed for you.
Yeah.
And Vegas was crazy because deep into the pandemic, when things were really bad, they were giving comedians and music and entertainers such a hard time. The shows we could do, we had to be 25 feet away from the audience, super limited capacity, very, very tough to do comedy for a quick minute in Vegas. But everyone could sit around a craps table, smoking cigarettes, handling the same. Wait, why I can do it. This comedy show is pretty safe. Everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
And it's not only everyone smoking around the craft table. I was, okay, do your thing, but it's everyone from everywhere. So it's everyone coming, getting it, and then flying back to Nebraska and Washington and Canada, and where it was very strange. It was a very feel.
Yeah. Strange times we live in. Well, Erik, we're going to start winding down, and
Oh, let's wind it down.
Okay.
We've been winding up pretty hard.
We have.
It's 7 a.m. We started yesterday. It's great.
Okay, so part of this summer vacation series is getting your perspective on your comedy scene. We have had a few people from LA, so our listeners have gotten flavors of LA, and a lot of people are familiar with LA anyway. But give us the take on LA from you, and also tell us of some comics that we should be paying attention to from LA.
Oh, wow. Good question. I like Yowie wowie. Okay, the comedy scene in LA, I feel, if anything, is varied. It is very varied right now. There is a transition right now where when we were pretty much doing only like outdoor park mics, like pop-ups. And now some indoor stuff is happening. Some mics are coming back. Some clubs are coming back. And it's kind of this exciting time to see not only the transition from just a couple park mics a week to now probably an open mic and a couple of shows every week to this very tangible new class and crew of comedy. I think a lot of people during the pandemic who kept writing, kept doing virtual shows, some outdoor shows, they gained some cred and they gained some clout. So you're seeing new comics come up, and it's very, very exciting to see that happen. I'm a big fan. In terms of comics in the area, oh geez Louise, I almost wish I had a list, because I feel like here's the thing, I'm gonna name some people and they're gonna be like, cool, thanks, and I'm gonna not name some people and forget about them, and they're gonna be the ones who are gonna remember. The people I shout out, they're gonna be like, oh, that's fine. Yeah. But the people who I don't say anything to, they're gonna hate me for the rest of the planet. Let's start it off with Daniel Eachus, incredible comedian, super funny guy. Check him out. Dan Eachus, super wonderful. Another shout out to Tom Clark and Stephanie Clark. Tom and Stephanie are married. They are both super hilarious, super funny, really, really great comics. Love them. Another comic, Savannah Manhattan. Savannah Manhattan is a comic that I toured with, I think, right before the pandemic. It was me, Savannah, and another comic named Tony Lavdiotis. And it was super fun. And Savannah's great. She's a wonderful lady. Go support her. Oh, geez. Oh, why am I like so many people are in my brain. Mike Masilotti. Mike Masilotti is a wonderful comic. He's doing great moves here in LA now. Love him. I think he's an awesome guy. Oh no.
This is not supposed to be traumatic for you, Eric.
I just want to give everyone love. I just want to give so many people all the love. Can I do a couple outside of LA people that I think people should check out?
Sure.
Awesome. Out of the Northwest, Monica Nevi, amazing comic. Check out Monica Nevi. Another one, Brent Lowry. I spent a lot of time in the Northwest, so I want to give these guys a shout out. Brent Lowry's incredible. We just went on the road, and we were with another comic named Leroy, who's absolutely amazing. Ty Boice is an amazing producer. Love Ty Boice. Carly is another Northwest guy who I want to give some shine to. Soulwood Productions is amazing. And then over in Vegas, sending some love to Kelly Lee Williams. He's absolutely incredible. And then let's come back to LA. I'm just shouting a bunch out. John Yabes, Alyssa Poteet, Jay Aquino, Ron Josol, absolutely amazing. Kevin Camia, absolutely amazing. Lynn's son is super, super funny. I love Lynn a lot. I'm going to send you a list and we will put it. All of these people are amazing. Check out them all. Support live comedy.
Amazing. Oh, Eric, you're so wonderful. I hate that this is starting to wrap up. I really do. Your energy could, light fires. It's so awesome.
I'm glad. California, that might be a bad thing, but you know what?
That's true.
Every year we find a way.
Yes. I have an official closing question.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm excited. I'm ready. Val, let's do it.
One word to describe your future.
Ooh. exponential.
Ooh, hitting my math love button. I'm a mathematician by trade, so you just made me very happy.
You and my partner would get along great. She's definitely the math science person of the duo. I majored in theater, and I like to draw sometimes and finger paint. That's those are all my life skills. All my life skills.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. From your started with improv to getting into stand up and acting, college, touring. Yeah, I see it. I'm excited to follow you. I hope that Austin is on your radar for a visit soon, because I will hunt you down and go see a show.
I absolutely love it. I can't wait to. So glad COVID brought us together. But I can't wait for things to settle down a little bit, be good, be safe, and then we can join up together in person for some shows. Yes. Val, I love you a lot. Comedy Wham, I love you a lot. This is an honor. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That is a wrap on Comedy Wham presents Erik Escobar. Erik, tell us where we can find you on social media, and tell us about upcoming projects you want us to check out.
Most definitely. Across the board, I am Erik Escobar on social media. That is Erik with a K. So ErikEscobar. We talked about my TED Talk. I'm really, really proud of it. So definitely check that out. I have a lot of fun things in the works that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet, TV film-wise, but definitely hitting the road soon. I'm going to Royal Oak, Michigan. That's going to be a super, super fun show. Heading to Vegas soon, doing a John Hilder's amazing show. Also check out John Hilder. Going to the Northwest, doing Chinook Winds Casino in Lincoln City. A lot of fun road work coming up. I would love to see any of you there. Tell me you found out about it on Comedy Wham, and I will buy you a water with lemon.
Nicely done. Nice. Budget conscious. Well, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how Erik got to be the comedic genius that you heard today just as much as I have. This has been Comedy Wham presents Erik Escobar. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Erik.
Thank you. That was so fun.